Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to another board game discussion video. Today's topic is all about board game resolutions, which is the idea of taking a New Year's resolution and applying it to board games. As with anything, setting some kind of a goal is a great way to feel accomplished in yourself and be able to say, yes, I was able to do something. So effectively today, I wanted to go over three major topics with this. First and foremost is what some common board game related resolutions are that you might be able to achieve yourself. Secondly, I wanted to talk about my personal resolutions and how I intend to achieve them. And last but not least, a little bit about why I personally feel it's important. Very, very opinionated on that third one, but I think it's really important to discuss. Of course, with that, as always, you guys know I love to hear from you on all of these topics. Let me know what your personal board game resolutions are in the comments below, because you know I love to hear from you. So jumping right in with point number one, what are some board game resolutions? Well, there's a couple of really common ones. First and foremost, you have what's referred to as a 10 by 10, sometimes a 5 by 5, or things of that nature. Essentially what these mean is that you are going to play some number of games some number of times. For example, a 10 by 10 is you're going to play 10 games each 10 times, with the idea being that these are going to be games that you'll play multiple times so that you can really get a feel for whether or not you enjoy them. And on top of that, you'll be able to get better and better at them. Most commonly, this is done so that people can say, yes, I have done that and I have achieved this and it's a major goal. This is actually something that's related to what's called the H index, if you guys are familiar with how scientific papers are done and that kind of thing. But that is some math that we are not necessarily going to get into. But most importantly, it's about removing the idea of outliers, where if you have one bad board game experience, then it doesn't necessarily mean the game is bad. Try it a few more times, see if you really don't like it. The next major one that's often done is what is referred to as the shelf of shame. If you're not aware of what it is, chances are you probably have one. I know that I do. The shelf of shame is simply games that you own but have not played. It might be ones that you got on sale on a whim. It might be ones that you've wanted for a very long time but simply have not been able to get to the table for some reason. And a lot of times these two ideas are combined together, where you will take 10 by 10 of your shelf of shame or whatever it happens to be, or you'll just say, I want to play as many of my shelf of shame games as I possibly can, with the idea simply being, I want to play all of the games that I have before I get new ones. It's a very, very common thing to do, just to be able to say, yes, I've been able to play all of these. So moving right along, my personal idea. So my personal goal for this particular year is simply to play more games. 2019 was a year where I was exceedingly busy with work. I was trying to make a lot of extra money, and so I was working a bunch of extra hours, and it sucked. It was absolutely horrible. I had to skip the vast majority of board game nights. I simply was not able to play nearly as much as I would like to. So what I wanted to do this year is really work to set aside a distinct time where I say I'm not working, I'm not doing anything. I will be able to go to my FLGS, I will be able to go and play games, or even be able to sit down and play some solo games. It's really frustrating for me personally when I don't get to play, especially when I've got so many games available, and so that is really my only thing. I don't particularly care about playing games that I haven't played or playing games that I have played multiple times. All that I want to do is just simply get more time at the table. That is my personal main goal. Last but certainly not least, again, more of a philosophical idea in this particular instance of what does this mean as far as setting a board game resolution? Why should we care? Why should we bother? Well, the fact is that if you set goals for yourself and then you can work to achieve them and eventually achieve them, you will be happier. You will be a better person, you'll feel better about yourself, you will feel accomplished, you will feel that you have done something. And that is wonderful, not only for your self-esteem, but also for just your overall outlook on life and being able to say that you were able to check something off a to-do list type of thing. And on top of that, with board game aspects, they tend to be a lot more achievable. Most New Year's resolutions are going to be things like, I'm going to get fit, or I'm going to eat better, or whatever it happens to be. And those are really not very quantifiable. You can't simply say that I'm going to eat better. Okay, well, what does that mean? Does it mean that you only have one scoop of ice cream instead of two after you eat an entire pizza? technically it's better, but is that what you're looking for? For my purposes, again, I said that I want to play more games. I want to get more time at the table. That is a very open-ended idea, but at the same time, I know that my goal is to say I have this time set, this is when I will play, and I will go and do it. And I can have backups in terms of I've got Steam versions of some games that I'll be able to play or something along those lines. That's what makes the 10x10s or the 5x5s so good. On top of that, if you have a literal physical shelf of shame where you have games that you have not played separated from games that you have played, it can be really wonderful to physically take them and move them across. Again, something that's quantifiable, something that you can track and say, look what I have done, this is amazing, and I am proud of myself. But that said, as always, it is more than enough rambling from me, but I'm really excited about this topic. Of course, new year, new everything, new decade. It's a wonderful time. It's the 2020. It is the double crit year. So there's a lot ahead of us. We see a lot of really fun new board games in the pipeline. And I'm really curious what your guys' own personal resolutions are. Please share them in the comments below if you would like. I would love to hear what you have to say. And of course, I'd love to hear any unique board game related resolutions that you all have. I'm really curious what you guys are going with. But with that, as always, if you haven't done so already, please take a look at my various social media pages, as well as my Patreon page. On all those, you'll be able to interact with myself and my channel in a bunch of really fun ways. And with that, thank you so much again for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and Happy New Year.